97 Podcast on Twitter, Spotify, iTunes. Please subscribe and tell a friend.
I just wanted to mix it up a bit because it's the same every week, isn't it? Like, shower me with socials. Dan Bayliss is here.
I've got to ask first, Harry. If you're watching on YouTube, did you paint that shirt on? It looks very tight, mate.
Mate.
Did you buy that before lockdown?
There's actually a story behind this shirt. So this was my dad's in the 80s when it's a small man.
Steal it off of her.
I used to wear it to away games when I was skinny in my early 20s, but now I only wear it at home. So I'm disappointed you'd notice that, to be honest. I thought I was getting away with it because it is mega. If I stand up, you just see my belly hanging out the bottom. Yeah,
I swear you wore that like Brentford a few years ago, and everyone was like,
I did,
that shirt does not fit you.
Then. I was 7 stone lighter.
It was tight then.
I've got that shirt, Harry, in a large. Do you want to swap?
Yeah, in Bruno large. No, but this top was actually like he brought this actually when it came out back in the day type thing.
That's quality.
You can't see it, but it's all tatty. Like
it's
got
original.
All ribs in it, ladders and all that.
It's ripped at the back.
Climb up it, you can climb up the ladders. Yeah.
Lager. And Jack Williams is here with a perfectly fitting shirt.
All right.
Right. Okay. Well, international break. So usually not that much to talk about, but we seem to have sort of formed a list over the week. Let's start with England. I have to say, this is probably outside of a major tournament, and that's probably a stretch as well. I've actually enjoyed watching England. I don't know about you, Harry. It's been a pleasure to do. I really, really enjoyed the Hungary game, aside from all the racism, which just seems to be something that happens when England play at the moment. So hopefully the powers that be will clamp down on that further. I mean, if it was a UEFA match, they wouldn't be playing it with a crowd. So I don't know why FIFA is any different. But if we keep it to the football, joy to watch. Lots of exciting players. Also at the weekend, Connor Cody almost scores a bicycle kick. It's a good time to be an England fan, and it could have potentially be an even better time to be a Wolves fan.
Yeah, well, the first game, decent win. I'll be honest, I'm not as enthusiastic as you. I was a bit bored, I'll be honest, of the game. But watch the Cody one. Again, bored, but the overhead kick was entertaining. I did jump up when he did that. But apart from that, same old internationals. We say every year on this podcast, we all buzz off the Euros and the World Cup. Qualifiers is like watching the paint dry. But they're doing the job, and fair play to them.
Bayliss, we know you love talking about England. We keep it as short and sweet as you like.
Oh, no. I just thought the behaviour of the Hungary fans was absolutely appalling. Like, a real disgrace. And we'll now see if 18 months of taking the knee and making statements is actually worth it, or just a frivolous statement, by whether they find them 12 pence or whether they actually take some real action. So let's see if it works or not.
Have a gun in their face when they boo BLM. Jack, thoughts on England?
Oh, loved every second of it. Actually, no, sorry, I haven't watched a second of it, so I don't know.
I don't know. I'm really into it. I don't know if maybe I'm just the only one. I don't know. I wouldn't normally be.
It's just a bit. I'm guessing you've still got the Euros buzz going on, but it's just even the group are in. I know we're playing Poland now, and if we beat Poland away, that group's all over, isn't it? It's done. I think we're qualified because you've got two teams in there just to make up the numbers straight away in San Marino and Andorra. And if you go and win and beat Poland and Hungary, you're sorted, aren't you? And we should be beating Poland and Hungary.
I've just got it on
a non-event, really.
I've got it on the telly in the background.
Yeah, I was going to say, we can't have it that much, lads. We're literally doing a podcast as an England game's going on, so we don't
obviously.
I've literally got it on just there.
You got the best of both worlds. So, I mean, we talk about this international break. It's a strange one, isn't it, Harry? We mentioned it last week because it does sort of stop the momentum if we had any. Martinho, captain Portugal, the other day, we've spoken about how old he is and how he hasn't got the legs. But, you know, as soon as Ronaldo's not available, they go for the slightly younger option.
Yeah, well, it was Martinho keeping Fernandes out of the team in the Euros, wasn't he? So, yeah, fair play. He started off this season well, but the concern is if he can last, because he did peter off towards the end of last season. So, but fair play to him because, as I say, he started really well for Wolves and Portugal.
Excellent. Anyone else got anything to say about the international break? We're just looking forward to getting back into the Premier League football.
Yeah, big lap on his
real football, please.
I mean, this calls into, and we're going to talk about Jeff Shi's interview with the Athletic later. And before we do that, we'll be talking about how this transfer window went and how it was just absolutely catastrophic for many people involved. I think Jackie said it was gross incompetence from Wolves' point of view. The way that it's panned out, that little over a week later, Wolves will be without Raul Jimenez due to FIFA and COVID restrictions and Wolves not releasing him to play for Mexico, that means we're our main striker down again. And it's sort of one of those situations that we mentioned as why the window was so bad, because as soon as you lose a key player, you're in the shit.
Yes. Sorry, I didn't know if that was a question for me, really, but
two different questions there.
but yeah, I mean, I suppose we're going to talk about the whole situation really with the Jeff Shi interview, and the Jimenez thing is just it's just like suddenly we need Kiefer Moore again, don't we? We need some sort of backup, because we're going to go into a game again. It's kind of like last season, isn't it? I know it's only for one game. He's not out injured for a while, but we're going to go into a game and having to play Fabio Silva, who's probably a hell of a lot of better player than he was this time last season, like certainly. But it just shows a lack of depth again. And with the striker position, if this is going to be a regular occurrence now, if we're going to miss Jimenez every time there's an international break because of the game after, I don't know how it's going to pan out really. Hopefully they can use some common sense and sort of sort it out somehow. But we're just even thinner on the ground than we needed to be. And like you said, you've got a 35-year-old who, happy birthday for yesterday or today, whenever it was.
Today, isn't it? I think.
Is it today? A 35-year-old who's now, going on an international break, captaining his country, has got to fly back and then play against Watford at the weekend. And there's only one other centre midfielder who sat on the bench. There's a lot of questions. And I know Jeff Shi tried to answer some, so let's talk about that.
Jack, you mentioned Fabio Silva there. I saw a lot of people calling for Hwang to start instead of Raul, but he's just coming back from, I think they played Lebanon, didn't they? South Korea. So, yeah. And he hasn't trained with us yet, has he really? So I mean, it's got to be Fabio, hasn't it, starting for the middle?
Yeah, I think so. But we will see.
I mean, it's a pretty weird one, isn't it? Because I think Wolves have actually taken the option that means he only misses one game, because if he had gone, he would have had to quarantine coming back in for 10 days and he wouldn't have been training. So, Harry, have they taken the sort of lesser of two evils by keeping him, and he's only going to miss one game rather than potentially 2 or 3, plus he can't train with the first team?
Yeah, definitely. They've done the right thing, but obviously Mexico aren't happy. And I think they did all right anyway without him, didn't they? So I don't know why they're doing this, but then just us, there's various other players, isn't there, too? And I feel a bit sorry for Raul as well. He's just caught in the middle, isn't he? I'm sure he wanted to play for Mexico, and I don't think they're happy as well, because he didn't go to the Olympics either, did he? But that was obviously a precaution for his head. So maybe it'll do Raul good, because he hadn't had the best of starts of the season, has he? A little bit of a break and then fly back in against Brentford.
He's been on holiday, though, hasn't he? He's been to Italy for the week, so it's not as if he stayed in this country and stayed away from COVID or anything. So.
They've still travelled somewhere. Bayliss, what do you think? We're seeing all these sort of ridiculous decisions by lots of different countries, lots of different footballing bodies at the same time. We saw Brazil versus Argentina. The authorities came onto the pitch and it got abandoned. It's just a ridiculous scenario, isn't it?
You mean FIFA have organised something badly?
Can you believe it?
Can you possibly fathom such a thing?
Sace being held at gunpoint, any as well. What's going on?
Yeah, some sort of coup going on.
Yeah.
I mean, all we're missing is like some backhanded money to a Qatari and 35,000 dead Indian workers on a construction site, and we're all sorted.
Sorted. So, it's just ridiculous.
Absolute mess, isn't it? I mean, you've got to trivialise it, because it's just classic football, just ran by absolute fools. You don't really care about the game, and they just wanted to get the revenue in by playing them. So it's nonsense, absolute nonsense. I'd rather talk about the Shi interview, to be honest, because...
Well, let's do that. So I can see you're all dying to do that, and I suppose it does make sense to sort of bring it in there. He's done what looks like an exclusive interview with Tim Spiers. And I mean, I'll pull 3 quotes from it. I'm sure you've all got everything sussed and know what you want to say, but through the whole window, we were working collaboratively with Bruno every single day, trying 20 or 30 targets overall, but the coach was unsure about 2/3 of them. He didn't think they were better than our squad. That's the first one. Harry, what do you think of that?
Well, it's a bit weird, because he was banging on about the 3 or 4 players, wasn't he, the other week? And Jeff's saying they're working together. Look, Bruno ain't going to throw his toys out the pram towards Jeff, is he? He's just going to be like, yes, boss. They're saying that they both agreed, but I don't buy it. I mean, I do like listening to Jeff, and I do think he speaks well when he does do interviews. But I know we're going to go on to more quotes in this interview, but he was waffling a bit for me, and some of his excuses just don't sit right. But we've got to trust him, haven't we? He's our own at the end of the day, and he gave poor excuses in my opinion. But let's just hope he can get it right.
Jack, another one, Harry mentioned it there. He says, from a coach's view, if he has those 3 or 4 top players, something special can happen. He's spot on. I totally agree with that. And I appreciate the ambition, but the market has been very difficult to acquire top players.
Yeah, I get that. And I get that they don't want to just buy players for the sake of it. They only want improvements. But even with the numbers we've got, particularly in centre midfield, then I know it's going to be the same thing as last week. We shouldn't be letting players like Gibbs-White go. We need the depth there because last season we learned a tough lesson in that our squad was too small to compete after we lose a couple of key players. So then I don't understand how this time having the same size squad or, even a little bit smaller squad is going to help. So I get that they want to be careful and they want to invest in young players who are quality and are going to potentially have sell-on value or be really good superstars for us. But you've got to also sometimes just adjust to what's actually happening in the situation you're in. You can't just say, it's kind of like saying, oh yeah, I want to go to Disneyland, but we can only afford to go to Devon, so I'm not going to go, basically. When really a holiday's better than none in it. So I think we needed a couple of players just to make up the numbers. It's a terrible analogy, but you get what I mean.
Yeah, I think Keeper Moore might be the equivalent of Margate in that scenario. Bayliss, here's a third one, and tell me how much you believe of Jeff here. People ask, why did Wolves leave all their targets until the final day? It's not the truth. All the targets on the last day weren't totally ideal targets. We've been working for several months on ideal top targets.
Yeah,
Is that the waffle that Harry was talking about there?
That is the waffle. I think he was just allowed to speak. But my issue is that it seems the issue is encouraging people to the club as a whole. And by the longer we wait and should we have a poor season and finish bottom half again, it makes it more difficult rather than easier. But my point on the whole thing is that the interview itself was really poor. I think there's a difference between being a journalist and just asking questions. And Spiers seems to just ask questions. He never pushed him on anything. I don't know whether he shit his pants and thought, this is my chance and I'm never going to get in there again, so I've got to be nice. Or I don't know what he thought. But
it's funny you say that, because
the whole point of being a professional journalist is trying to push someone to get answers to difficult questions. And it looks like the old pie scoffer sat there, asked his pre-written questions, got his answers, and fucked off and wrote it. It was a boring article. It was. There's no two ways about it, is there?
Harry, bring in that.
Yeah, I just want to say he said in the bit I read, he took him 2 years to get this interview, and it's weird timing, and it's weird that he chose a platform that you have to pay. You have to pay to read it as well. Like the fact Jeff chose that. Why not choose the Expression Star where it's free? It's just bizarre to me, all of it. But it was an okay read, but I do agree he didn't challenge him too much, did he? Because let's be honest, I think Spiers is okay at what he does, but he does lick the club's ass because he wants to keep his sources. Everyone knows that. He was doing the Molyneux View.
Only source he's got is Hines, mate.
But when he was doing the Molyneux View podcast with Oatley, he just would not criticise hardly ever. He would just lick their ass. And I get it, because if he breaks his contacts, he's more doomed than we think he is. Like, we know he's making up as he goes along in the transfer window. So it's a good scoop for him, but it could have been better, like the interview, I think.
Yeah, but it could have been an actual scoop. All he's got there is questions to predetermined questions, answers to predetermined questions.
Well, we don't know if Jeff read it through and said, take that out. You don't know, do you? Because obviously it's a bit hot at the moment, isn't it?
What would you ask Jeff Shi, Bayliss?
Ask him if he cares. I'd honestly ask him if he cares, and if he's really in it for the long run, are we going to commit to it?
He said they are in it for the long run. He said they're in it for the long run.
So to the back of that, I'd said, right, so we've been promised the world, and we've had a glimpse of it, which is fantastic, and the fans have loved it, and now we've had that taste. How do you recreate it?
You obviously didn't read it, because when he said about the Man City quotes, he has actually said he regretted that in that Johnny Phillips one as well. So he has said he was naive in the first few years for the things he said, and he says now he's deep into it. He realised he was wrong to say what he said, and they want to be self-efficient now, so they've got to balance the books and all that. And he talked about the stand.
We're mid-table forever.
He talked about the stand. Remember they had that big plan for the new stadium? All of a sudden now he's saying we've got to assess it after every season and then see if the books are all right and see if we've got the money to do the Steve Ball.
It's a temporary stand.
Following on from that, then there is a model that's doing it. Look at Leicester. Look at how they're going as a club. They're bringing in fantastic players. They're playing very well. They're challenging. Plus they're building an unbelievable training facility. Plus they've got some of the top architects doing a fantastic new stand in their stadium. They're doing it all the right way, and they also
won the Premier League 5 years ago.
I was going to say, just winning the Premier League help in that quest.
Because I don't know what the numbers are. I don't know what the numbers are, but Fosun are pretty damn well off. There's a hell of a lot of cash.
Yeah, but
if they wanted to make us into a super club, they could quite easily do it.
They spent loads in the first few years.
Their balance sheet too much.
That was his argument. They spent loads the first few years. They got into debt, and then they had to balance the book a bit. And the FFP has ended in May, but they can't go wild. He was saying they want to be self-efficient. He kept saying, didn't he? So
the FFP has nothing to do with what you want to do with the club, though. I know that we have got a very good training facility, and there's nothing wrong with it. And Leicester are just building a new one, so it's newer. But the stadium's a big thing, I think. It shows intent of the club.
He brushed that off in the article about the stadium. He was just like, we're going to assess it at the end of each year. And the Steve ball's falling apart, and he was just like, yeah, we agree, but what can we do?
It's a massive commitment. Remember, it's not just a one-year commitment. It's 20, 30 years of probably debt and recouping and thinking about it. And a few years to design it and get it through. And
the thing that they need to look at is for building a stadium that is not just built for football. Ashton Gate in Bristol is a prime example of a newer stadium that is built to host big events and also more than one sport. And, you know, it brings a lot more to the table, doesn't it? As sort of using it as a financial arm to the business.
What's just behind the stadium at the moment? Not the supermarket, the other bit.
University?
I reckon that's the way they'll probably go, isn't it? They'll do something.
Yeah, but then you don't want an athletics track around the outside to bring in an extra sport. That's
no, it won't be that.
No,
It'll be building. It'll be accommodation or something, or a university building. I imagine. We could go about this all night because it's the shit I chat about all day.
But okay, going back to the interview, I agree. I know Tim Spiers acknowledged it, didn't he? That it was a very weird timing. Because it's probably the most stick Fosun have probably had. Maybe, you know, probably got someone sacking Nuno before people had given Bruno larger chance, myself included, probably. It's a weird time after never speaking to them for, you know, pretty much since they came in, to then suddenly wanted an interview after you've probably had quite a hot week in terms of criticism. So I don't think it's a coincidence. They can say, you know, it was or whatever, but I think it was planned for. And I do agree that if you've been shut out from somewhere and eventually somebody says, right, you can come in now, you're not going to go in there and just start playing up or pissing about because it can damage the relationship in the long run, which is probably why Spiers didn't push him as much as he, you know, potentially could have. Or, you know, if it was a politician or something, then it would be different, wouldn't it? So I get it. I get some of it. And I'll be honest, I felt a little, after reading the interview, I did feel a little bit better than I felt. It's definitely this time last week or just after the window had shut, because I was really quite down about that.
But Jack, it was so easy for him to do that. He had time to prepare and get their spin on everything.
I know. Trust me, nobody wanted a couple more players more than anybody. And it's quite frustrating that we've seen, I said last week as well, we've seen how good it potentially could be. And those 2 or 3 players could take us to that next level, top 8, top 6 again, whatever it might be. And it's frustrating to think that we could miss out because a couple of injuries could kill us again and we'll be in a relegation battle. However, we'll just have to live with it now, won't we? Just get behind the team until January, I think, and just see how it goes.
One bit he did explain quite well. I mean, I said to you, like this esports thing, I'm absolutely clueless on it. I know it's huge, but he did explain that well about the branding and that. And I saw a really good tweet, actually. Stu Hall, who's actually on the Fancast, I follow him on Twitter, and he compared it to, like, you know, when you were a kid, you had like a New York Yankees cap, and you had no idea what it was, but it was just a cool cap. He said like that's kind of what probably Wolves are going for in entering this esports market, where kids would be walking around with a Wolves head on it. They won't know what it's from, but obviously it just gets us out there, doesn't it? And
it's a very marketable badge, though, isn't it? Yeah, the Wolves logo, like the badge is very good, isn't it? It's like geometrically pleasing. It's quite easy on the eye. It's not like a coat of arms, which is what
I'm in the NBA as well now, apparently.
Yeah, I saw that. I didn't quite get that either. We're a clothing brand in the NBA game. Is that what's going
on?
Something
like that, yeah. So I mean, on the marketing side, they're proper going for it, aren't they? But they've got to remember we've got to do stuff on the pitch too.
I totally agree. It's good ideas, but you've got to keep the home team happy, haven't you?
And the home fans as well, people in Wolverhampton.
That's what I meant. Like,
yeah.
I take it we are still quite happy with the football that's being played. That's
superb.
Yeah. Well, let's look at Leicester. I mean, Baelish, you mentioned them. Then they're the next opponents. No, they're not. Let's talk about Watford. Let's talk about Watford. So it's one of those games, isn't it, where we don't usually fare that brilliantly against promoted sides. There's a little bit of recent history between the two of us, isn't there, Harry, with the Troy Deeney comments post Wembley and the Raul mask, and then beating them at Vicarage Road to secure Europe eventually. So there is that little bit of tastiness to it. What are your thoughts on this one?
Yeah, they started off well, didn't they? They beat Villa, but Troy Deeney's obviously gone, so we ain't got to worry about him. He's gone to Blues.
Blues as well, yeah.
Yeah, it's a big game for us, really, because if we'd have got a draw or something in the first three, we'd have had a bit of a cushion. But this is a must-win, I think. I think there's a bit of pressure on it because we should beat Watford, really, with the way we've been playing. And I hope we can do that. I mean, with no Raul not being in the team, there's a kick in the bollocks. I know I've already spoke about it, but it's who do you play? Fabio, Hwang. And I think he will go with Fabio. And we've just got to try and keep our performance levels up because if we play like we have been, we're gonna smash them, aren't we? Let's be honest. If we can put the ball in the net, and I hope we can do it. And Ben Foster will have his GoPro on the bench so we can watch his logs after. What do you think of that, lads? Ben Foster with his GoPro, you like that? Or?
I quite like it.
He is good at it, man. We're all meant to hate Ben Foster, but I think it's quality.
Is he not injured?
He's injured.
He's always on the bench, but he's basically reserved now. But he still does like match day vlogs, walking around the.
I saw a really, really interesting interview with Ben Foster this week, and it was on the what was it called, the Cycling Goalkeeper or something.
That's his channel.
That's his channel. So because he was talking about, and Baelish, you'll love this because it's about money, and he was talking about how much money he got from his move to Manchester United the first time around when he was 22, and he was saying that he went from 350 quid a week, I think it was from Wrexham possibly, because Darren Ferguson, obviously Sir Alex's and former Wolves player, was manager of Wrexham and said, my dad fancies signing you for Manchester United, so don't do anything because I think he's coming to the end of his contract. He said, all right, okay. And then Sir Alex went and watched him for the last 5 games of the season, I think, and he said it was the most nervous he's ever been because he was like, don't fuck this up because Sir Alex is in the crowd, this could change your life and stuff. And he said, he went from £350 a week and he got sat down to sign his contract. So he looked down and the signing on fee was 60 grand. And then he was on 5 grand a week. And at 22, but it got me thinking about like how much money footballers genuinely earn now, because that was probably 15 years ago.
2007, was it? Something like that?
Yeah, 14 years then. So it's just incredible, isn't it? Especially if you're a young professional as well, and you think fairly young, isn't it? 22. I mean, you're not sort of a teenager ripping it up or anything like that, but just to have that amount of money put in front of you would just be unreal.
Goalkeepers are older though as well, right?
And he came through a weird route, didn't he? He came through like non-league and then went to Stoke. But imagine being like a kid who comes from the academy. You don't know.
Yeah.
Who's the kid from Kiddie that did it?
No,
that ended up at, is it Huddersfield or Brighton?
Joe Lolly.
Yeah, that's
Lolly. Yeah. Good route. Anyway, Watford.
Anyway, Ben Foster. Harry, starting 11. I mean, I think we can probably guess, is it just going to be the same, but Raul in for Silva, and then who's going to be that place on the bench? That's the question.
Well, with what's gone on with Sace being on the run at gunpoint by the sound of it.
I don't think anything actually happened.
No, nothing happened. But they were,
they
got escorted out, didn't they? But I think we might see Bolly back in because obviously he was on the bench last game. So maybe Bolly for Sace would be another change too.
So excuse my ignorance, but Sace can fly off to where was it? Gambia? No, where was that coup? Guinea, wasn't it?
Guinea.
And fly back and just be all right in time for Saturday. But if Raul had gone to Mexico, then that's not all right. Is it just to do? You telling me these countries?
Red list Mexico.
So these countries in Africa are on the amber list, are they? Then?
Amber.
They were flying
to COVID.
Okay, right, cool.
Military coup, tanks.
Yeah, that's fine. Yeah. What colour list is Afghanistan on?
Fucking hell, black.
I don't know. Right there on the ratio of tanks to COVID, I think that'll be green.
Okay, cool. That's good. So, yeah, I agree. I think there'll probably just be one change, really, and that'll be Fabio Silva coming in for Jimenez if he can't play.
Okay, interesting. So you don't think Bolly?
Well, if Bolly comes back, who does he come in for? Is the first question.
Safe,
isn't it? Really, just say straight away. I mean, because Bolly's played on the other side before quite a lot, hasn't he? So
put Kilman on the left,
but then you'll have him on there. You play Kilman and have him, yeah.
He's left-footed, isn't he, Kilman?
So, yeah, I think that would be that. And I agree, it's actually a massive game, this, because we've had 3 good performances, but granted no points and
No goals.
Those performances mean nothing. And now we've actually got to sort of like put our money where our mouth is and go and try and play that way and create that many chances against a team down the bottom who's probably going to defend a little bit more as well. But I don't think the Watford fans that I've seen on Twitter are particularly confident, which is a good sign, maybe. But we'll see. But yeah, I think these next 2 games, Watford and Brentford, we need 4 points.
Is it must win, like Harry said?
I think one of them. No, it's not a must win this time of the season. But I think 4 points from the next 2, if we don't want to get dragged into a relegation battle, is what we need.
Harry, we sort of half jokes about it. I think first podcast of the season when we said, let's look at the first 5 fixtures. Oh, who are the teams that we're going to beat? Oh, it's probably going to be Watford and Brentford. Do you stand by that?
Yeah, I think we can beat them. Like I said, if we play like we have been, we should beat both of them. I know Brentford had a good win, didn't they, first game? But, they're newly
against relegation fodder.
Oh,
yeah, very true. But Watford as well, they lost the last 2, haven't they? So down in the dumps a bit. I think we can beat them.
Bailey, score prediction.
I'm going to say, as the Stone Roses once sang, this is the one. We are going to have them. It's somewhere between 3-1 and 4-0. I think.
Jack, is it going to be a waterfall of goals?
No, but I think we'll win. I think we'll win 2-0.
2-0. Sorry, Dan, I think I cut you off there.
No. You just could have got so many more Stone Roses puns in there somewhere.
They only did one song, didn't they? I thought.
One album. One good one.
Yeah.
No, I think we're going to... I genuinely have got this feeling that we're going to do them. I think we've been so good. It's just...
Is this the 4-0 we've been waiting for?
You in the box,
3-1 up.
Clip that up for next week.
Oh, yeah, what are we doing, Bayliss? Bayliss is in a sewer on Friday morning or something. I've
just got to work late tomorrow night, but it could be quite late. We've just got some tickets like in one of the hospitality sections. That's all it is.
Do you have to dress posh?
No shirts, but I think it's just a shirt and pair of jeans.
No Wolves.
I haven't read it, to be perfectly honest. Like a button-up, like a collared shirt.
You have to wear a collared shirt.
I'd have thought so.
I don't think so. I don't know. I haven't read it.
Are you going to get chipped if Wolves score?
I'm going to do. You remember when we scored the last minute at Bristol when Nuno was in the box?
You're going to do that, yeah. I told you the story about when I went in the box with Seb, didn't I? When he got kicked out.
Was that for Arsenal?
Yeah.
Oh, when Gibbs White hit the bar?
When we scored, and then obviously Gibbs White at the bar at the end, and they were like, "1 more, you're out, lads." So
one
more.
Is that the 94th minute?
Yeah, exactly.
Oh dear. Okay, well, let's get your latest betting odds and ticket news.
Ah, yes. I forgot about that. Yeah.
For what it's worth, 4-1 Wolves, my prediction is.
Oh, well, thanks for telling me
cares,
that.
mate.
40 minutes, 33 minutes after I asked you for it. One that I do like, draw half-time, Wolves full-time is 92. I think 4.5 is a good price there for that. Cheers. Yeah, good. Thanks.
Yeah, all right. Yeah.
1-0 Wolves, Fabio Silva, 18-1. 2-1 Wolves, Ruben Neves, 40-1.
That's more like it.
The one I'm sticking my money on, and I might even have a tenner on it. I really fancy this. Traore first goal. It's coming. 3-1 Wolves. 150-1.
That's coming in.
That's really good value.
I can feel that.
But he actually could score tomorrow, Mr. S, couldn't he?
Tomorrow, Saturday.
Not tomorrow, sorry, Saturday. Yeah.
Yeah, you might not be worried then. I thought it was Friday.
No, I've said that. I'm gonna put it on.
Or tomato. What's 4-1?
Well, come on then. We'll do a couple more. What do you want? Semedo first goal scorer. 4-1.
Yeah.
It's got legs.
I'll give you 1,000-1.
It's got to be in it. It's got to be.
4-1 Wolves. Semedo to score first.
Oh, it's going to be massive. Just 4-1, 50-1 probably.
1,250-1.
Oh my god!
It's
got to be done, isn't it? I mean,
I'll put 50 pence on it.
Okay, all right. Don't go crazy.
Put your cash away.
Hold on. Hungry like the Wolves said 3-1 Wolves, Semedo hat trick.
There you go. They
won't even give you odds for that.
It's clear. Jack, have you got any ticket news for us? Any at all?
You know what? Not really. Obviously, Watford tying allocation on Saturday, so sold out long ago. For the Brentford home game, which is an early kick-off as well, actually. 12:30, isn't it? That's basically sold out as well. There might be a couple of signals about kind of in the family enclosure.
Just be aware if you do like that Traore 3-1 bet, it's a price boost on Sky Bet, and putting it straight into the Scorecast thing, it only comes up at 95 to 1. So you need to go to the yellow boosted bet section.
We are not affiliated with Sky Sports. Just as a
We're not, but their app's quite good.
Yes, agreed. So what is everyone going to spend their massive early bird bonus on? That came through. We've got, is it £5 to spend?
Depends on how long you've been a season ticket. I think if you've been like more than 10 years, it's about 30 quid. It's quite substantial.
£30, yeah, 10 plus years.
Yeah, so, but everyone gets a little Brucey bonus.
What's that, 5 warm lagers, and can you use it for that?
No, you can use it in the shop, I think.
Just in the shop, yeah.
Just the shop.
So you basically get most of a shirt for free if you've been a season to get older a long time. Well, free, half price. So I'll probably get one of those then blue Bukta ones. I quite like the look of one of those actually. You know, those replica ones.
Yeah.
But yeah.
How are you going to buy a shirt that fits you, or you maybe a wool sewing kit just to repair the one you've been wearing?
It's funny you mentioned shirts because I brought the South Korea home shirt with Wang on the back on DH. It is a phony one, but I just thought, I'll wear it at Brentford when I go to that.
12
it's pink,
quid.
so might get abused a bit, but
no, but you can like 12 quid. World Cup next year as well. You can wear it for that.
Oh yeah, brilliant.
Isn't there more than one Wang in the Korea side as well?
Probably.
I'm sure there's about 3.
Well, when I ordered the shirt, they gave about 5 options. Obviously, Huang was one, Son was one. He got injured, didn't he, Son, by the way? And there was 3 others I didn't recognise. But yeah, hopefully it comes out all right.
Lovely stuff. The one other, a couple of things we're going to talk about was, and I don't know if this follows on a little bit from the transfer window, and then we're going, biggest transfer net spend among Premier League clubs in the last 5 seasons. Wolves are 10th on the list. Firstly, Harry, does that surprise you?
No, because we spent bigger early on, didn't we? So, obviously the 2 big boys as well, Fabio and Semedo, and that just puts us where we're meant to be, and 10th. That's what everyone's predicting, so that works out about right, doesn't it?
So money does buy you success, by the looks of it. Pretty much.
Well, it's like F1, isn't it? Just whoever spends the most wins, and that is literally what's happening with football.
Although actually, Manchester United are top of that table.
Ah, yeah.
Are they? Well, I'm really
they should be title challengers, shouldn't they? Really?
They should really. I mean, I don't know. Have they been brilliant since Ferguson left? Not especially. And I think one of the most valuable clubs in the world, 24th, Jack, worth £391 million. Now there's a return on investment because what did they spend? What they give Steve Morgan for it? 45 million, 40 million, something like
that. Yeah, was it even that? I can't remember. I know Steve Morgan obviously got a good deal either way because he paid. But yeah, I mean, you think it's the most competitive league in Europe, isn't it? Really, and then if you take out obviously the big boys from the other leagues, you probably us being somewhere in the 20s is probably about right, isn't it? Really,
I think but it's good for that global brand thing that we were talking about, because you have to be in it to win it, don't you, and recognisable and stuff. Final thing, Harry, I know you're going to be so chuffed about this. Tottenham versus Chelsea will be the first Premier League tie to be the first net zero carbon football match. This means that everybody pretty much has to travel on a bus that has a water mill in the back that powers it, and everyone's got to have a potato and leek pie at half time. I don't know if some lagers aren't even vegan, Harry, so you'll have to have a special lager. What are your thoughts?
Sounds like my worst nightmare, to be honest. I just hope it don't come to Molyneux. I'm not having a watermelon in the back of my bus, and I want a lager that's full of meat. I don't know. I don't care.
I'll have a pint of meat.
I'll be honest.
Was it Forest Green that did something similar as well?
You're not. They don't.
Forest Green don't serve meat.
They don't. They say if you can't go 90 minutes without meat, then you're not welcome here.
Well, don't they want to build a wooden stadium as well? And that went really well at Watford. So
we ain't going to worry about that. We're not going to play them.
I think you mean Bradford, mate, don't you?
Bradford, yeah. Sorry, it was Bradford.
On the beer thing, I think most beer is actually vegan, isn't it? They've even changed Guinness now, so it doesn't contain fish bladders like it used to.
Swim bladders.
Yeah, it's like it was like to use to filter it or something. I don't know, but I think pretty much all their beer now is fine. So,
whose idea was that? Whose idea was it? Do you want to put it through this sieve? No. Look at this little fish thing.
That's an age-old recipe.
What I don't get is who sat down and calculated it. Like, how do you know which element of carbon it costs to brew the beer that takes to the stadium? How do you work out how you've got all the food that might be vegan to the stadium? How do you know the carbon offset of each person that's going to watch it and how they've got there and
They
how
use
much
public
energy.
transport because it would have been running anyway, I suppose, is the
It's never
Science.
going to be
gonna-
exact, is it? It's never going to
It's
be
going to
exact.
piss off a lot of fans attending the game, though, isn't it? What if
They
people
don't
wanna eat
have
that
to.
stuff?
They've come out and they said they don't have to like do any of this. Like obviously,
It
there's
helps
big
it's a
uproar
London
straight
game, which is
away.
a big bloody bonus, isn't it, really? I mean, if you try and do that in Wolverhampton, I mean, realistically, the public transport outside of London in this country is shit. And I think more people would use it if it was better, but it just isn't as good as it. It's so much easier. I mean, I know we get the train
We get a train
sometimes.
to the football. It's
We get a
easy.
train sometimes, but
Oh my God.
We literally
driven
go to a pub at a train station, get pissed, get on the train, and get off a 2-minute walk to the Wolves ground.
Great
Well,
question
you
here,
haven't
lads.
actually done that this season, Bayliss, so not a home game anyway.
Been to an
What
away
do we
game,
think
though.
about that? Do you think
It's
we'll
true.
be giving out Chinese food at Molineux in the future instead of pies? Says Paul.
That would be
I'm all
nice.
for that.
Like
I'm all for that.
like a duck wrap. That'd be banging with that brown sauce.
But would you want proper China? Bayliss, you've been to China, haven't you? Very, very
I have
long
been to
time
China.
ago.
I have been to China.
Before you had crow's feet. And apparently I think you're more likely to eat crow's feet when you're out there. Because, I mean, the Chinese food that we have here is completely different to over there, was my point.
Firstly, I'm booking in for some Botox next week. Then, if that's got crow's feet come in,
Do you know what you should do? You should just go and fall over in that sewer next week. That'll be really
I'm not
good for
going.
you.
I'm not going in the sewer. What are we
We've
going
got
about food in
multipliers,
China? I
haven't we?
don't really remember what the food was like in China.
Food in China's different too. Like if you go,
They left the bone in the chicken, but then cut it up. It was a bit weird. That was a bit weird.
like wings, chicken wings.
No, like you have bits of chicken sliced up, but it still had the bone in the middle. Bit strange.
It's strange.
Yeah, don't have that at Molineux. After a few points, I'd choke on the bone. So.
And,
Not the first time.
feet and head were left in the dish as well. Which is a bit
Oh, the head of the what?
chicken and the feet were left in the dish. I remember that.
Oh,
Yeah, but we're not going to see it, Paul. Then basically, I hope not. Anyway, by the sounds of it.
that sounds awful.
I mean,
I can just imagine Harry getting pissed and asking whoever's behind the bar for a 69 and then just constantly asking for it.
the only Asian fusion food that is needed at Molineux has been there for a long, long time, and it is the Balti pie.
Yeah, man, love it.
And
Very,
it is a
very
banger.
Excellent. Right. Okay. Well, we're going to go and watch the rest of the England game like everybody else has seemed to have done, to be fair. So if you haven't been watching, well, thank you for keeping with us. And of course, if you listen to the podcast, thank you. And we're about to say goodbye. But obviously, if you do want to go and watch proceedings, you can head over to our YouTube channel. Otherwise, it is a goodbye from Harry Mansell.
Yes, come on, Wolves Saturday. See you in a bit.
Bayliss, good luck in the sewer.
Not going in a sewer.
That's what you think. And it's a goodbye from Jack.
Bye, everybody.
And it's a goodbye from me. Goodbye.
Ta-da.